My name is Darren Hupke, and this is Pixels and Polygons, part of the Soundstone Network. Hey everybody, welcome to a new episode of Pixels and Polygons. It's the conversational podcast about video games hosted by me, Darren Hupke. If you are new to the show, thanks for giving it a shot and thanks for checking it out. The format's simple. I have a rotating cast of guests who come on. I ask them a single video game related question or prompt, and we talk about it. It's short and sweet. It's designed to be easy, quick listens, and it's the perfect podcast in between podcasts. So thanks for checking it out, and hopefully you enjoy the episode. If you've come back and you're a returning listener, thank you for your support. Thanks for continuing to listen to it, and thanks for checking it out. I appreciate you. You can support me and consider doing things to support me by leaving a like or writing a review or sharing a link online. All that helps and goes a long way, and it's much appreciated. I've got other ways you can support over on Patreon at patreon.com/Darren Hupke. For as little as $1 a month, you can also support the show. That will allow you to contribute icebreaker questions that I will ask in future episodes and give you a shout out by name if I select your question. So if you'd like to interact with the show a bit and support me at the same time, consider doing that. Like I said, $1 a month over on my Patreon. Same thing on my Patreon page. You can find the digital storefront for all of my publishing books. Pixels and Polygons is more than just a podcast. I've got my retro game zine issues available for purchase there digitally. I've also got the 32-bit library series of books and books like the Beat 'em Up Volume 1 available over on the Patreon shop for digital consumption. If you want physical, if you want an actual book mailed to you or a zine mailed to you, head over to pixelsandpolygons.net. That is my storefront where you can buy everything direct from me. So again, the 32-bit library books, I've got t-shirts, stickers, other merch, all the issues of Retro Game Zine and the upcoming 2025 annual. Everything that I've got you can find there. So if you want to support the show, if you want to support me, consider purchasing or checking out any of those projects digitally, physically, or through Patreon. Thanks again for listening to the show, and hopefully you like what you hear and you come back next week. Enjoy the episode after this ad break and stay retro. Bye.
Listen to Flashback 64, the chronological Nintendo 64 podcast. Hosts Gooey, McKenna, and friends flashback to the 90s and early 2000s with a look at the Nintendo 64's catalog and its contemporary cultural and historical context. Starting with the console's launch titles and proceeding in release order, we discuss classics like GoldenEye, Super Mario 64, and Star Fox 64, as well as some not-so-beloved games, lesser-known titles, and everything in between. Along with game-specific deep dives, we also cover other bits of pop culture from the time, like films, music, and more. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello everyone, welcome to a new episode of Pixels and Polygons. I am your host, Darren Hupke, and I'm here with nobody. I'm here by myself. I'm going to record a solo episode. It's the holidays. I am busy. Other people are busy. And I want to have a new episode. And why not have an episode where I can answer some of the questions and participate in some of the responses that I don't typically get to do with an episode. So no guest today, just me by myself, talking into a microphone, not being uncomfortable with it, and hopefully entertaining y'all for your car ride or run or wherever it is you listen to the podcast. Actually, send me a message. If you follow me on Blue Sky, reply to me or send me a message or do something. Where do you listen to these podcasts? Where is the average person listening to these podcasts at? That is a question I'd be curious to know the answer to. But yeah, I want to just do the same format. I'll answer some this or that questions. I'll answer an icebreaker, and then we'll answer the main topic, which I picked in advance. So hopefully that sounds okay for you all. I don't hear your responses because it's just me solo, nobody else, no guests, no rebuttal. But okay. I don't need to really plug myself. I have that recording up front in the episode. You can go to pixelsandpolygons.net and you can follow me on social media. You know what I do. I do this and I do a lot of game stuff. So, yeah, there you go. I'll answer some this or that's. And what do we do first? Let's see, Tekken or Street Fighter? Let's see. Ooh, I made these questions. I thought of answers while making these questions. It's going to be Street Fighter for sure for me. I think I just like more games in that series. I mean, I like games in like most games in both the series, but I think actually, you know what? No, I'll still go Street Fighter. Street Fighter Alpha 3 is one of my top 10 favorite games of all time. Plus the classic Street Fighter 2. I spent some time playing Street Fighter 4, and I spent some good time playing Street Fighter 6. I think I played some 5 even too. I've played most Street Fighters actually. So, and I've played most Tekkens though. But because of the power of Alpha and the influence that has over me, I'm going to say Street Fighter. But that does not go without saying Tekken 2, Tekken 3, Tekken Tag Tournament. Those are all fantastic hits, all in a run. And love me some 3D fighting. Single player or multiplayer? Prefer, I guess, single player, but I would like to have like a consistent multiplayer experience. Like, some of these Split Fiction and some of these recent games that have come out, It Takes Two. I want to play those. But I don't know that I have, like, with my schedule and with the way things line up, there's not like a regular amount of time that I'd be able to commit to ensure I'm able to get through all those games. Unless they're not very long. I should just look into that and see if somebody wants to play with me on those things. But those always intrigue me, and I always feel like I'm missing out when that new, like, fun game of the moment comes out with multiplayer aspects in it. But single player still is this type of game I would sit down and play and prefer. I mean, RPGs are probably my go-to genre, and yeah, single player is the way to go. Let's see. A necessary sequel or a remake? I've been asking this one a lot, and I like both. But I'm going to have to pick one. I will pick remake, but I'm not against an unnecessary sequel. I don't mind it when a series is like ran itself into the ground and, back out again. Sometimes there's cool gimmicks and cool twists and new features and things that, while the entire package may not be as memorable as exciting as some of the original core releases were, having some of those things, is entertaining. And if people are still a fan of it, let people enjoy what they enjoy. And, you can exit the ride at any time. But if people are wanting to play games like that, let them. But that's not my answer. I said remake. Remakes to me, are a chance to get people who missed out on a game, give them a chance to potentially explore or experience a game. I mean, I have been playing the Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D remakes. I guarantee I would not have the same entertainment and joy playing the original 8-bit Dragon Quest 1 and 2 as I do playing through these. Not that they're bad games or anything, but they're definitely just games of those moments. And so the amount of the grind and the difficulty curves and kind of the lack of storytelling, essentially with the limitations that it had of the hardware, I get the imagination and how those games would have felt had I been able to experience them when they were new. But being able to play a remake of them now and see those things all touched up on, being able to speed up the battle system and reduce, the amount of grinding you're kind of having to do, having it, get through quicker and faster, having like a nice polished and updated kind of graphical display for it. Still with in this case, the 2D sprites and charm of the style of game that it is a really cool way to make it look like, especially in screenshots, it looks like a classic RPG, or what you may think you remember a classic RPG looks like, but it just feels and plays, modern, and I don't mind that. I don't mind even when things are changed up and reinvented or reimagined and everything as well. If the spirit is still the same, people can still hopefully people can still experience the original games from what a game is remade from, in addition to the remake. But that's the best case scenario. Have access to the original as well as a remake with those, whether visual and fidelity updates or quality of life and mechanical updates, whatever maybe that makes it more accessible for newer gamers. That's fun. That's what I pick. Mario or Luigi. I'm gonna pick Luigi. I like the color green. I do like the color red though, actually. Red's been growing up on my list on favorite colors. Like a lot of red accents with black, but still green. Luigi, taller. I really liked Luigi in the Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga era when that was released on Game Boy Advance. Like his character art, he had these like red and white striped socks, and I just remember just seeing that detail and thinking there's no point, there's no purpose for that, but it was just kind of cool that Luigi has his own kind of identity or style or something separate from Mario, though they're not, obviously real people. But I just like that idea that Luigi was just kind of weird and, his own dude. And I feel like I'm weird and my own dude. Jack and Daxter or Ratchet and Clank. Oh, I didn't need to pick this one. Why did I pick this one? Recently on Blue Sky, Sasha from Sasha's Retro Bytes, if you haven't followed, give them a follow. They shared the anniversary of Jack and Daxter, and that made me think about 100% completing the original PS2 Jack and Daxter and obsessing over it. Like really strong gameplay, strong graphics, like that next big Naughty Dog tent post. Loved Jack and Daxter 1. Never played Jack 2 or Jack 3. I did get to I don't know if it was what they called it technically, but for Jack X Combat Racing, I was sent an advanced copy to do network testing and beta testing type of thing, and I had to fill it out on a message board internally with Sony and everything. I don't know if I ever got my name in the credits or anything. I should see, that'd be kind of cool. But that was the only exposure I really even had to that game. So the Jack series really is just one to me. And I never really got into the others. Ratchet and Clank, on the other hand, I missed all of the early titles. I dabbled a little bit in Future on PS3 when it was a downloadable title. But when that movie came out, I played that reimagined entry that was tied into the movie, and I thought that was super fun. And when Rift Apart came out for the PS5, that was a day one buy for me, and I loved every second of that. Just visually, gameplay wise, pacing, length, it all just looked and felt and played great. And I feel like I'd definitely take another Ratchet and Clank game for sure. But I would also consider it another Jack and Daxter game if it wasn't that dark edged, open worldy, Grand Theft Auto inspired thing that I know the series kind of evolved into. I just love a good 3D character platformer, well polished and well designed. Give me more of those. That's fun. Or I could just go finally play Super Mario Odyssey that I haven't played yet, and just get my solid character platformer out of that one. That's I've heard that's an all timer. Digital or physical? This is not the popular opinion, but I digital is what I probably 99% of my purchases are. If I'm buying it physical, it's because I'm buying it just to be a trophy or a shelf relic type of thing. or like, an indie game having a physical or limited physical release or something like that. Like I'm buying that just out of like support and having it there. My main console is that PS5 Pro, and I still haven't bought the disc drive for it. So essentially all of my games currently are just the digital versions of them, which I also don't mind just out of convenience. I don't want to go to like a Best Buy or wait for something to ship to me when I can just unlock it and buy it and have it available when I want it. Let's see, one more. Tales of or Star Ocean? I don't ask this one a lot because these are both kind of niche RPG series. I would have said Tales of for a majority of my life. Tales of Fantasia, Tales of Destiny, Tales of Symphonia, Tales of Arise. All fantastic games. Well, Arise is fantastic up until the last act. But yeah, those are great games. But man, that Star Ocean Second Story R, that HD 2D looking remake of that game, was just super rad. The amount of content I got the platinum trophy for that, and that involved beating the game twice and beating optional super end game hidden bosses, and it was tough, but it was fun. I definitely want to play another one of those like that. Yeah, that was really fun. I guess since it's only like the single game, even though I think Second Story R is better than any Tales of game, I will still pick the Tales of series because I've played more of them and I've enjoyed a large quantity of them. I'm a quantity over quality person, I think. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's enough. That's enough this or that's. Let's move into my icebreaker. What do I want to pick here? What is a gameplay mechanic that you love that you want to see more of? So this might sound crazy. Like it would be crazy to say this in like the PS3 era or something like that. But I would like to see more like quick time events, like the Shenmue, style. Like, if the game is like giving you exposition through like a cutscene or something like that, like having you like be ready and kind of keeping you on your toes to be able to like make a choice or trigger something from happening. Like, I think that's kind of cool. I don't need it to be like game ending or then it has to restart the entire cutscene or something like that. But like, say you do it successfully, maybe you get some bonus items or gold or health or something like that, or maybe you're on an alternate like better path that makes your travels easier than if you failed some of these events and then you're on a harder path or something. I would like QTEs to come back. I definitely think that they could, I don't know, they could make some aspects of storytelling and like the narration side of things a little bit more interactive and reward players as well. But developers have gotten really creative with storytelling being able to happen simultaneously while like adventuring and exploring too. So I don't know, but that's just the question, and that was my answer. So all right, I'm going to take a break for one moment to get a drink. I'm going to pause the recording for a second, and then I'll answer the main episode topic. So I'll be right back, y'all. I wanted to tell my console story. So that's a kind of newer question in my list of questions, but hearing about people's like their stories and how when they got and how they acquired and what they love about like some of their favorite consoles. I kind of want to do one of that. It's not done all that often, and so why not now? It's my show. I can do what I want. But I want to tell my console story for the PS2. So I got it on launch day. I don't have notes in front of me on this. This is just all from memory. But October 26th, 2000 was a Thursday. It was a school day, and it was kind of drizzly. And I had just paid off the system like the night before. So like right before launch and everything. And so while I was at school, my brother went to go pick it up. He had to ride a bike up there, and I remember being at school, like not really, obviously not wanting to be at school, like wanting to like fake being sick or doing something to get out of being at school. But I didn't that day, even though I missed a lot of school. I could have easily come up with an excuse. I wonder why I didn't do that then. Whatever. I didn't. He was there, but I remember because it was kind of drizzling, like not too bad, but I just didn't want the system or anything to get ruined. And so I had been putting like, like a few dollars here and there whenever I could scrounge up some money, trading in my old games, trading in my PlayStation like a week or two before. I did like everything I could to like make sure I paid it off at GameStop as a kid. How old would I have been then? October. So I would have been 14. So teenage Darren, had to get his PlayStation. So I was adding money to it whenever I could. And the night before, we still owed like probably $40 or $50 to like pay it off. And I convinced like my uncle to trade in his PlayStation and the games he had and everything just to like make sure I wasn't going to miss out and everything. And it was really, some weird, I had to like cut a deal with him. He wouldn't just like loan me the money or just give me the money. It was really strange, but he would eventually like try and like co-take the PlayStation. So like every couple of weekends, like he'd take it for a weekend so he can play it and hook it up and, have it for himself and all stuff, which I thought was really weird, but eventually just kind of like bought out my share of it and was able to get it all for myself. But leading up to it, being a huge PlayStation fan, like I knew like I wanted that like day and date. And even reading about like the potential like console shortages, like originally I think they intended for it to be a worldwide launch, but it had come out in March in Japan. And so it wasn't coming out in the US until October. But, even Japan, it was like a more of a limited release. It didn't have like from a production run standpoint, they didn't have as many ready and produced as they had wanted, I believe. And the same thing was happening. And like the last like minute rumors with production issues and things like that. Like I know it was rumored to like Sony wanted to have like shipped 1 million units by year end. And so some people thought like, okay, they're going to have 1 million units available like on launch. But that was Sony actually like manufacturing and pushing out as many as they could. And their goal was to try and ship 1 million units by like December. So in October, they did not have that many ready. I think the reports that I had read were like they had something like 500,000 units, like 500,000 systems were available on that day one. And so with some places like taking pre-orders before some of these production numbers were even announced, like not everyone was able to get like a day one pre-order. And I just remember not wanting to miss out on mine. So that's why I was trying to scramble to pay it all together. But I also had put money down on it like way in advance. Like it was months and months in advance. It was probably like December or January of that year, before it was released, that I was already like anticipating it and prepping for it. But having it being backwards compatible was rad, but being a poor kid in Southern California, I had to sell my games in order to help pay for it. So I didn't really have many games available to me like once it came out. But seeing that cool box, like I loved like not just like obviously not just the system itself and the memory of the system, but like even the design of it. Like the launch system had like this really cool blue gradient box that like just had like the PS2. Well, it was a solid blue box, and the PS2 like logo, which was like that dark to light PS2 like font with a gradient color over that. It was like a really rad just design. I mean, it was just a square box and all that stuff, but I just remember seeing that blue box and just being like super, like just beyond excited when I came home from school. And we barely scraped together the money to get the system, so no games were available for us day one, just out of the fact that we couldn't afford it. So like from a consumer standpoint, I'm sure GameStop loved that they, they got this kid who was bothering them like every other week, putting money down on this pre-order. Like I had zero attach rate. I didn't buy any accessories, didn't buy any games, didn't buy any extra controllers, didn't buy a memory card. We picked up the system and that was it. It would be a couple more weeks later that, we'd get a game. I remember getting, I remember the rental store like near me. It was it was basically walking distance from me where we lived. They ended up getting like PS2 games in early as well. Like that was a big thing for them. So being able to rent like SSX and Dynasty Warriors 2, those launch games were like fantastic. But I think the first games that we got to purchase and bring home was like Madden. That was one that like my uncle would also play. And going through like the season mode and everything and playing with multiple players, a friend of mine, myself, and my uncle would just kind of like play head to head against each other in those season modes. Having that, and then Time Splitters was another one that was purchased early on. That was just an awesome game that had like a level creator and everything I loved about it. Just I can even remember seeing that box and everything still. But yeah, just those early PS2 days were super cool. And the system design, having like that vertical stand. I mean, I didn't have the vertical stand, but I would stand it up vertically and it was fine. Having like that little PlayStation emblem on the front of the system that was able to rotate and flip, for the orientation that the system was in, and like the red and blue lights from like the standby light and the eject light and everything while the system was on. Like it was just infinitely like more like quality to me than like any previous system I'd played before. Like the disc tray ejected and made a beep, and like the startup, it was just way more advanced. And it was also just like many other folks, it was the first DVD player. So now we can start renting DVDs and watching those instead of having like VHS tapes and everything. Yeah, but the early on was just super cool. And like that was a different moment as well. Like obviously the Dreamcast had a head start and there was some great Dreamcast games already out. Having like, that experience there, like the type of games that were, early on and rolling out, again, all those launch games, Dynasty Warriors, SSX, Madden, Midnight Club, Smuggler's Run. I played through like all of those games over those first few months and like, significantly loved like many of those games. And then Tekken Tag Tournament, gosh, there was a bunch. And then when that next year started rolling around, getting into the summer and fall, having games like Dark Cloud and Eco and things like that happening, like that's when games stopped being like, to me, like just prettier versions of games I'd already played, and now it was starting to feel like truly like a new experience and a next generation, for something I wasn't even anticipating. This was the new things that I was now being wowed again by, not just prettier graphics and things, but like new gameplay styles and games with real artistic designs and art design that were just as important as like the gameplay or the narrative of it, more so than they ever had been before. And then even more hits, you had Gran Turismo 3, that was in the following summer, Final Fantasy X, like some real big tentpole like games, like when they started finally hitting, like then it just didn't stop from there. The controller design, I appreciated that they just kept that same DualShock style design, but they just had the DualShock 2 with the pressure sensitive buttons, like the package and design of it all. The yellow, at least here in North America, it was like this yellow case for all the accessories, and like the blue packaging for the system itself. The DVD cases for the games, things were much taller, like they took up more shelf space, and the cover art looked bigger on the shelf space compared to like Dreamcast games or PS1 games. Just kind of a new visual moment. But yeah, I mean, the PS2 obviously would stick around for a while and be hugely successful and go on to be the best-selling console of all time. It played DVDs. It did all these things. You'd get games like Shadow of the Colossus. You'd get games like, like the late generation ones, that were happening on it. God of Wars and the Jak and Daxters and Ratchet and Clanks, and there was just so many like things that were just kind of pushing, what that hardware could do. It was just a, really good era and really good moment for me. And I was just super excited to have one. Having like the tail end of the system like bleed into the Xbox 360 era with things like Guitar Hero, I was playing Final Fantasy XI online on a PS2, before transitioning to PC and 360 and things like that. Like PS2 just did a lot. I just really enjoyed it. Thoroughly got my money out of it. I had the failures of it. I had the discrete error issues. I sent it off to an actual warranty facility to have it repaired. That took a few weeks. That sucked, of just not having any video games. But then eventually I started opening it up and cleaning it out and dusting it out and trying to limp along and keep it alive as long as I could. And yeah, I mean, there's all the games, all the memories I have of it. Like I said, I was 14 when it first came out. So going from my early teens to late teens and beyond, with the PS2, very formative years for me for playing video games. And like the moments of being able to play Metal Gear Solid 2 for the first time, or Grand Theft Auto 3 for the first time, or these games and these series that, were really establishing like their foundations like so clearly, like in new 3D spaces on the PS2, are still technically like happening today and in this age. And I'm able to see them for all new like generations, and people are experiencing them with different mindset and approaching them from a different angle. But like I can remember playing like the strange like DNA of them and where they came from back in the early 2000s, and for better or worse, some of the games have not aged as well, but that doesn't like stop me from still being able to like pick them up and like feel good and put myself back in a place where I just had a great time. And which is with its design, with its look, with the technology of it, just everything I got from it was just good vibes and good energy. The PS2 was a good era, but that is my console story. Scraping by, saving up, being a poor teen, and then being able to experience some really timeless generational games and really fall in love with it. And from there, at launch, I was then able to purchase every single PlayStation console since. I've gotten the PSP, the PS3, the Vita, PS4, PS4 Pro, PS5, PS5 Pro, PlayStation Portal, if you want to call it its own thing. I've bought them all. VR, VR2, the Move controllers. I'm a Sony sucker, and while I missed the day and date for the PS1, I won't miss another one just from the good vibes the system has given to me, and the generations that they've given to me that all started kind of back with this PS2 moment. So yeah, that's all I got for y'all. Thanks for letting me be nostalgic with you about the PS2. Thanks for listening to a solo episode. I know it's kind of maybe awkward, maybe weird. I won't do these, all that often, but it made sense with the time of the year that it is now. And hope you all are having a good December and having a good holiday. Play some games, have some fun, be good to each other, and we will see you again with a new episode next week. Goodbye, everybody.
Hello, we are Kirby Conversations, a podcast on Kirby, along with other adjacent subjects like Smash Brothers, HAL Laboratory, and other related Nintendo games.
In each episode, we take an in-depth, well-researched look at a Kirby topic, drawing on our decades of experience playing Kirby games, creating Kirby-related content, and working in and around the video game industry. I'm Sean Douglas. I'm a theater and video game journalist.
And my name's Bridget. I'm an online Kirby commentator and collector.
Our team also includes photographer and Nintendo ambassador Kai Captain Dangerous Parker and Gigi, the editor-in-chief of Wick Kirby. Join us for deep dives into Kirby's history, interviews with industry professionals, and even inside looks at Nintendo, as together we explore all things Kirby and HAL Laboratory. You can find Kirby Conversations on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.